Good afternoon. So we're gonna talk about the intersection of technology, design, and ethics. And I'm gonna present the project AI Camouflage, designed by AI. But first of all, this is me, and I'm Rachele Didero. I am the CEO of Capable, and I'm currently doing a Ph.D. at Politecnico di Milano. I'm also a research affiliate of the MIT Media Lab. But question, what if you could gather all of this information only by looking at this picture? And what if you could gather even more information of me, just thanks to this picture, even information that I might not want to share with you? And what if I could do the same thing with all of you in this room or everyone in the street? And what if I told you that this technology, this AI person recognition, is actually spread all over the world in all this bright pink country there? And it's been used already to send people to jail. Sometimes also it makes mistakes, and so there have been innocent people going to jail for a mistake of the technology. And of course, we were talking earlier about black boxes. So we know the input, we know the output. We don't know exactly the calculus happening inside this black box. And so how can we say, no, it was not me? How can we prove that? So of course, it's complicated. And it's been used to identify women who are not wearing a hijab, for instance, or to monitor children's behaviors in schools. But then, of course, there's many problematics. If right now we're thinking, wow, what is this? It's a bit, I don't know, weird. And so you're not the only one who might think that. Over 81% of consumers are concerned about biometric data misuse, and their trust dropped from 20% in 2022 to 5% in 2024. And of course, 90% of parents are concerned about their children's personal data. But of course, we see here there's many problematics, and first of all, there's a lack of human rights connected to this AI person recognition, and they're vulnerable. The system is vulnerable to hacks. There's an inaccurate detection, as we saw, and there's a lack of consent. And how can we opt in or opt out from this technology? If it's in public spaces or in private spaces open to the public, we sometimes don't even see the camera. We don't even know what the form of this camera is. And for me, the main problem was, okay, we don't have a physical protection that is legal at the same time that allow us to opt out from this technology. Sometimes it's just imposed to us, right? And we don't have any alternatives. So we are talking about this kind of camera, like CCTV cameras, that are different than surveillance camera. Those are cameras connected to an AI, but it has that form, but it could also have this form, right? So everyone read about the Ray-Ban Meta glasses that students from Harvard were using to recognize people in the street. So it could also be this kind of camera, no? It doesn't even look like a normal camera. And it works like that, now to recognize people, when it's connected to an object detection model that says, okay, there's a car there, there's a dog, there's a bicycle, oh, there's a person. And once it sees the person, then it collects the biometric data. So the facial signature we have here, that is a biometric data such as fingerprint, DNA, and the iris. And what's unique about biometric data is that we don't share the same biometric data as anyone else in the world. It's unique, and it will recognize us in a unique way. And we can decide to change, for instance, where we live, no, our address, that is a personal data, but we will never change, we can never change our fingerprint or our DNA. And so from biometric data, we can then get personal data. And of course, personal data, it's many different things, no? And they will always be connected. So, all of this, now this surveillance state and this invasion of privacy and constant monitoring, of course, has consequences into also our mental health. And there's many papers and many scholars who are talking about this as well. All the stress related from surveillance. And there's also other scholars that are talking about the condition now we live, the world we live in. And for instance, this Ferguson is saying, with truth, you live in a surveillance state. The watchers know you because of the data you leave behind, and he wrote this in 2017. And then Wood also writes something similar. He says, we can no longer know for sure whether we are or whether we're not under surveillance, by whom or why. And then there's this last sentence that says pretty much the same thing. There's no way of knowing whether you're being watched at any given moment. This last sentence, the difference is that it was not written by a scholar, and it was not written in the 2000s, no? It was written in 1947, or even earlier, we don't know, by George Orwell, and it's part of a novel. George Orwell is trying to describe this far enough dystopian future in which there's this surveillance state that has so many points in common, as all of the scholars demonstrate, with our present, with our reality here. And so it's not only 1984, it's many different sources that we have, and we can kind of now understand what all this means, now the surveillance. This is just all the sources that are creating the population awareness of this phenomenon. And this is also what influenced me in about 2019 when I was living in New York City, and for the first time I heard of facial recognition cameras, and I was first a little bit confused and I was a bit scared, and then I met one of my friends who just graduated from Berkeley in computer science, and we said, why don't we create the famous physical protection we were talking about at the beginning, so we could protect people, and so people can actually decide to opt out from this technology that is imposed to us. No, in the Manhattan streets, in the case where there were these cameras, and even Amnesty International that year launched the campaign Ban the Scan, so you could say, okay, there's a camera in this corner, if you don't want your biometric data to be taken, just don't pass there. But that's also something that is against our right of movement, no? That is a human right. And so we thought of this protection that needed to be legal, so not covering the face, but at the same time efficient. And so this is how Capable was born. That is an engineering, textile, and fashion collaboration to raise awareness, designed for people. And so this is how we created this AI camouflage designed by AI, and we started with this digital adversarial images. They are confusing the algorithm. They are made by AI because we have to train the system in order to create these digital images. They might look like this, but we are able to create any kind of image. And then the challenge was also, how do we translate all of this digital into something tangible, into a textile, into something that we can actually touch, and then from this textile into a garment. And we were actually able to do so, of course, using a lot of algorithms, and then there's also coding in knitwear, because that was the first medium we used, and then of course we obtained the garments. And here are just some of the first, I don't know if you can see, So here, of course, the person who's not wearing Capable is identified as a person, so the biometric data would be taken. And then the system even recognizes the small person behind. And this is an open source system. It's YOLO. It's the most common one because it's the fastest one to recognize objects. And then the person who was very incapable was not there. You know? It's not in this red bounding box. And the sweater is being recognized as a zebra. Same thing here. We see the person here and little person underneath, but there's not a red bounding box around his face. And same thing here, in which she's being recognized as a dog. And the pants is many people, and she's a person because she's not wearing capable. And there's here, this is a video, we're not going to look at it right now, but basically it's this person moving in the space with other people, even wearing like colorful things and other patterns, and she's not being recognized as a person, even though everyone here in the room are looking at the picture, and we're all able to say, no, that's a person, no, it's a person there. And if we know her, we even can tell, I don't know, her name, no, who she is, what she does. But the important thing is that artificial intelligence cannot do that, because we are tricking the artificial intelligence and not the other people. And so, of course, it's not that we can use any kind of image of a dog on a t-shirt in order to trick the AI. We have, of course, there's this long process, we're using algorithm, and we're using AI itself to trick the AI. And we are talking about a form of large language objects that are these AI-driven entities that are connecting the digital world with the physical world. And so we're receiving inputs from the digital world, we're transforming them into physical objects, and then these physical objects are interacting with the digital space environment as well. And so this iteration, and it's really just, it's fun to play with them. And of course, we're talking about a design object. It's a critical design tech product. And so as a design object, it needs to be really well thought. And so we are talking about giving power back to people, and we're talking about we want people to be aware of what they do and how they move, and if they want to give their consent or not, opt-in, opt-out. And so in the object, they also need to have the possibility to opt-in. And so we created these textiles, that are the garments that are reversible, meaning that we can wear them on both sides. But on this side, this side doesn't confuse the AI. So if I feel safe, or if I want to give my data, so I just flip the sweater, and then I am being recognized as a person. And of course, we decided to have the first output as a fashion collection, and it's called the Manifesto Collection. And why is that? Because we want to make people visible, very visible to other people, but invisible to the AI. And this is our manifesto. So it's a manifesto of a change. We're wearing these very colorful garments, and we're super visible to the AI, but to the other people, but we're invisible to the AI, which is, no, it's a bit crazy. And why fashion? Because fashion is communication. Every day, we exit our homes, and we have to make this project of ourselves and how we want to be perceived by the rest of the world. And so we thought that fashion was a really strong way to communicate the message. And it's a tangible way to communicate something that it's really intangible. How can we talk about privacy? How can we talk about human rights in a tangible, with a tangible object? So it's kind of, it's really difficult sometimes. And throughout the years, of course, we were able to develop many different kind of textiles and many different kind of shapes. And we started with knitwear, then we went to woven, we went to many different textiles, and even we work with cars right now. It's just, it's expanded a lot. And none of this would have been possible without these two universities. We are a spin-off of the Politecnico in Milano. But I have to say that the most beautiful part of all of this is the community that we created, and throughout the years, like capable, the A stands for awareness, and that's really important for us. So meaning that we go and talk about this project, we want to create awareness, and we created this community of people who share with us the same goal, kind of like Urban AI, in which we want to talk about the most beautiful yet vulnerable part that we have as human beings, that is our identity. And sometimes it's just, it's at risk. And so we just want to say, hey, look, that's important. We can do something, no? And to protect basically our human essence. And I hope that we are achieving this goal, and I thank you all. I'm happy to also give a demo of the technology. I brought some garments, and thank you very much.